saying, I'm an avid musician and an artist myself. I can never imagine going to or being at a school that didn't offer that as part of their curriculum. It's just, I can't even fathom it, so, thank you.
Thank you. Jane or Deb?
Jay. Hi, I'm Jay Nato. I live at 6 Arbor Ridge Road. So we're not actually cutting anything today, right? It's just, if they rejected it, then you would have to make cuts. I just had a question about the purchase services. I mean, that's 1/6 of the whole budget, $10 million. What was in that? The transportation and, is the building maintenance and all that in there too, Eileen, like, what's that number? It
It's
seems
also out-of-district
giant.
tuition. Out-of-district tuition for students that have to be outplaced for special education. Yeah.
Well, I would just, you know, that's all money that's going out of the city instead of, you know, I mean, I would think that that would be the first place, if you ever did get told no, to start looking into. And then I wasn't clear on all the numbers that you had said before, but, you know, as far as the building, I'm a builder, I'm a father of 5, and 2 of my most important jobs is making sure my kids have something to eat and having a roof over their head. But if the roof starts leaking, I'm not gonna sacrifice 3 weeks of meals to go, you know, I'm gonna get a bucket. So I guess before you cut anything, I mean, your job is to feed these kids, nourish them. So I would think that those programs, I'm surprised that we have to come here because that's even a consideration. You know, that's the #1 job, is to make sure these kids have a great education, that they have all the chances of some of the other school systems out there. And I just can't believe that that would even be on the table. There seems like there could be so many other things in this $60 million budget that you could start looking at. I mean, I guess you need to fill the room though, too, so, but anyway, and then one last thing. I moved here a couple years ago. The house I live in costs $6,000 a year in property taxes. I came from Goshen with a mill rate of 18 mills. The house was twice the size in square footage. I paid less there in property taxes than I do in the city. I love the city. It's a center for 14 other cities and shopping and whatever. I don't understand with all of the revenues that seem like, you know, the Walmarts, they gotta do $1 million in revenues a week. Target, all of these, you know, that 15 other towns are coming to use our stores, that why are, you know, they're not talking about cutting bans in Goshen, they're not talking about it in Litchfield, Warren, Washington Depot. It seems like, you know, we could be getting money from somewhere, you know, local sales tax, I don't know, but it seems like, you know, for a beautiful city, why are we talking about cutting ban? And meanwhile, people are living in houses twice the size of Torrington, they're paying less taxes out there, they're coming to use our stores, and we're talking about cutting ban. I don't understand it, so that's all I have.
Amy, photos?
Hi. I hope you guys can hear me. Sorry. Tammy Potus, 55 Arlene Street. I wasn't prepared to come to say anything, but didn't know we had the opportunity tonight. But I'm a parent of 2, one in an elementary school, one in middle school. And I moved here 10 years ago. When I decided to move here, before I even had children, the first thing that I researched were the schools. At that time, Torrington was considered a great school. I don't know if you guys remember that. Each year, I've seen, since my kids have been enrolled, it seems like the class sizes have been getting larger. We did some redistricting, fine. But I'm very unhappy with as much as we're putting into it. we're still only ranking 5 out of 10 at greatschools.org. Why is this? I don't blame the teachers, I don't blame the staff, I blame the lack of financing. We've been on a budget freeze since 2009, and I don't understand how we have been on a budget freeze when since '08, our taxes have increased 16%. I don't understand it. Our teachers are not getting the support that they need. You're gonna start losing students because we're gonna move. And the teachers are gonna be leaving because they can't be sure that their jobs are secure because they're worried, well, if we're not cut this year, what about next year? I don't know if most of you know that we spend approximately half per pupil as other major cities such as Waterbury, Hartford, or affluent areas such as Greenwich. Yes, we do. I just went off your PowerPoint that you guys presented last year. This was presented last year here. But yet we're still expected to make larger cuts. I don't understand that. How is this in the children's best interest? Extracurricular activities, even though only 1/3 of the people have children here, they benefit everyone. What do you think the children are going to be doing if they're not at these extracurricular activities? We're going to end up having major problems that other major cities have. They're going to be bored. They're going to be hanging out where they're not supposed to. I already see graffiti happening at our local parks. You know, it doesn't happen often, and I think that's in large part due to the involvement of students in the extracurricular activities and the support from our teachers spending the extra time with the students in those activities. I think we're doing a great disservice to our students and the staff trying to support the students. And I really can't support most of those cuts at all. I mean, I see how we can budget a little bit, but I think across the board, we need to say, these are the funds that we need to come up with, and we need to invest in the kids. Because if we don't invest in the kids, we're gonna be investing in a larger police department and more, no, I'm serious. You know,
And we agree.
yeah, okay, I heard you going.
No, we agree.
All right, that's it, I'm keeping it short, most of the other people got it in. Thank you.
I'd like to see both of you show up when you present at City Council Board of Finance.
Let
Because
me
you
know.
both,
Let me
we
know.
couldn't agree with you more to
Post it and-
to try to get more funding, but you know, the funding is not we don't raise money.
Post the dates and we'll be there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nella?
Hi, Nella Stolson, Cheyenne Stolz, 37 Hutchkiss Place. A lot of what I was going to say has been said. I really am in support of the music and the athletics programs. And you know, a lot of us parents already pay for our kids' musical instrument rentals and stuff. And that does add up. I realize that, you know, $25 doesn't sound like much, but for some people that's 2 or 3 nights worth of food. I also work with children. I'm a nurse practitioner. And I see kids coming in that are bored, are troubled, that do drugs, kids as young as 10 years old. And I'm very grateful to come home to my 10-year-old who would rather play her flute than sit in front of the computer and sit in front of the TV, or my 8-year-old that goes to bed at 7 o'clock in the evening to read so that he can tell his teacher a story. And I go to work and I see these young kids that are in troubled homes, that have nothing to do except go home and play video games and get depressed and take drugs. And I don't want my kids to not have something to look forward to or to do. And that's what I had to say, that I'm very grateful for the music, for the sports, and for the art program that is in Torrington. And my daughter wanted to read to you what art means, what music means to her.
Music means the world to me. To play a song and have my little sister Sky sing was a great feeling. My brother and mom also sometimes join in. Also, I enjoy learning songs from different countries and cultures. That's why music means the world to me.
Mark. Okay. What's that? Your better half?
So I'm not Mark Garrison. Anne Marie Garrison, 165 Irving Avenue, here in Torrington. I didn't come with anything prepared to speak to you about, so I'm speaking from the heart. I'm an administrator for a local home care agency, a nonprofit. So I know all about budget prep, I know all about cuts, I know all about how it affects the community you serve. But I'm here to tell you that when you put something on the table starting to ask for, let's call it co-pays for sports and for enrichment, what's gonna happen is the same thing that's happening to our seniors. They go without. They refuse care, they don't have the funds to do it, and I think this community is not gonna be served by future leaders who could benefit from the programs that the school system offers. I'm a product of public schools, I become a leader, I serve in the community, and I would hate to see that happen to our students. When we talk about the folks in this community that don't have children, I think they need to think about who is going to be taking care of them someday. We need healthcare professionals, we're gonna need folks who are experienced in IT, and all the baby boomers are aging. So who is gonna take care of them? I'm a nurse as well. We need to be able to make sure that our students are well-rounded so that they have an opportunity to get into good schools. I think when we talk about being global, I think what this community should be looking at is putting money into our schools, not taking it away. We have students that are obese. We need to be making sure that they are part of sports, doing exercises. We need to definitely look at the lunch program, okay? We need to be following what Michelle Obama is trying to do nationwide and to be adding these healthy choices. So we need to be looking at globally, when we talk about those folks that don't have children in the school system, we need to be looking at other ways to get what we need to get accomplished in the city. And personally, I think the education component in the community should be off the table. We need to be focusing on putting money into the system. Everything that everybody said, I concur with. But I just wanted to be able to say that I understand how difficult it is. And I think also when you're reducing teachers, I have not come across, my child is in 6th grade in Torrington Middle School. Every teacher that I have worked with along the way has been totally committed to her success. And they put in their own money to do things in their classrooms. And I think when I talk to parents who want to take their kids out of this community because they say the school system is subpar, I think we have a great foundation, and I think the community should look at putting more money into this program because our students are our future. That's really it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our school community session. I'd like to thank all those that came forward and spoke in support. We'll move on to our discussion items. We have in front of us the technology plan. This is our second read.
I'd like to make a motion that we table this in light of the fact that it landed on our, in front of us this evening, so we could have a chance to review and digest and reflect on what's in the plan.
Here's a second. Second. All right, discussion. This is, we had this last month. It was given to us in the exact same form last month as a first read. There hadn't been any changes or corrections to it. It's just coming back to us as the second read of what we had last month. So.
It's, I support definitely mounting this out for another meeting, but I would like to ask at that next meeting, the whole premise of online testing, of online education, the state obviously is on board Because what data have they shown to the administration to show that positive results from both online learning and online? Can you ask the state to provide that for us? I mean, I would think that it's pretty easy. There's got to be test data or just the links that show that this is that what they're proposing actually has results. Thank you. Can you roll that into the discussion next meeting?
I just want to make a comment on page 6. The page deals with the local education agency grant program compliance form. This plan is due to Education Connection by March 30th, and on this page you'll notice that there are several options listed. It says the LEA's comprehensive educational technology plan must be approved by the local Board of Education. There's a space for date the plan was approved or date the plan is to be submitted for board approval. So in the perception of the state, we're still going to need to submit the plan to Education Connection for review. They may come back to us with suggestions for possible revisions. That's unlikely because their role is simply to be sure that each of the areas of the plan were addressed and completed. But we certainly are free to continue to make changes to the plan until the time where we're required to submit it to the state in order to maintain eligibility for funding. So that's kind of, if we're not revisiting the plan until next month, we're still going to have to submit it.
Yes, Jim.
I'm going to vote for the motion to postpone discussion because first of all, it's going to be a long discussion and it's very late tonight. We're not going to make good decisions on this and or other things even further down the agenda. And the other thing, what's the state going to do? Take away our weekend pass? What are they going to do? They don't get it? They don't get it. We're on the list of departments, boards of education, under the line. So what?
Given the sensitivity of the time frame that we had to deal with, it would have made sense that the board have had this document, assuming that there are no changes. We still need to be apprised of what the document is and the content therein, so that we can feel comfortable that the document you're going to give to Education Connection and then ultimately the state is something that we concur with. So when a document's put in front of us that you're looking for us to approve and we haven't read it, it's irresponsible.
We did.
You read it last month, but we don't know that the document in front of us, that there's been any changes to it.
No, exactly. Now, the committee, the technology committee met actively from November through February to produce the content that you see in the plan, and it was submitted for first read last time. So we encouraged board members to submit questions to us regarding various things in there that you had concerns about, that you felt should be omitted or needed to be included or needed to be further clarified. So, respectfully, we want to continue to solicit your input for the plan because it does need to be one that you feel that accurately reflects our priorities for the next 3 years in terms of our technology deployment in the district. And I think there are areas in here that address both infrastructure and network issues that you've identified as priorities, as well as hardware, testing, professional development, and each of the other required areas of the plan are all things that we need to be thinking of, whether we have to submit a plan to anyone outside of the district or not. It still behooves us, just like we did with our strategic plan, to have some sort of plan for technology deployment over the next several years.
I don't disagree with you. Given that we've been incredibly involved in the budgeting process, helping construct that. Our board packets went out on Friday. If we had this in our possession on Friday, we could have at least reviewed it and concurred that it's exactly the same. And I'm not even saying at this point I'm recommending any changes. I just want a chance to read something that's been put in front of me. I don't necessarily always feel comfortable taking action on something I haven't read. I think
The
most of the
state wants it is not a compelling argument to me.
And I'm with you there too. I mean, just because we've been told by the state we have to do this, and it needs to be done in this particular time frame, they couldn't have asked us at a worse time to produce something that has such a ripple effect in our current budget and future budgets as well. I mean, yes, it's a strategic plan. You're saying that it's gonna be in a file somewhere and then the state's gonna give us some sort of feedback. If that's the case, I don't even know why we do this, if it's just to fill a file somewhere. However, I also know good thought has been put into this, and I don't want to water down that thought by arbitrarily moving it forward without giving it its due consideration.
Andrew, you had a question or comment?
Just a comment that I would like to push it forward tonight. As far as I'm concerned, the whole concept behind this is something that I want to see moving forward sooner than later. It's not top priority, and another month goes by, it's just another month that seems to be a little bit more stagnant on this issue.
Vinny?
It says here that on your page 6 that a date the plan was approved or date the plan was submitted to the board, for board approval. Is that all you need? Is that, you just submitted it to us? Is there, I mean,
We
is there?
submitted it last month.
I understand that, but I
Eventually,
mean-
we're gonna, we are required to have the board endorse the
We do
contents
need
of the
that.
plan. Eventually, by June 30th, the board has to endorse the
Plenty
plan.
of time.
Problem solved, right?
Mhm.
Okay. I mean, you can just, just to be compliant, you can just say it was submitted and just have that portion.
Yes,
And we have until June 30th, right?
yes, we do.
Chris?
Would just be more common, there's parts in here that it looks as though there are positions that we're deciding whether or not they're going to exist to carry out certain goals. So I'm thinking, for example, media specialist, if it came down to it, we had to cut every single one except the one at the high school, then I think it would change dramatically who's going to be responsible for what step. Like, that's one example, so I would be more comfortable in setting the budget before, that's just one example, and I found that in 10 seconds, so I'd like more time.
Just one comment, there's sort of a chicken and the egg aspect to the whole plan. You need to have the plan so that you can budget accordingly, but you
Yeah.
can't always anticipate on out that you're going to have the resources that you originally thought you were gonna have, either positively or negatively. So your point is very well taken.
But then that's when you write an addendum to the plan.
More paperwork and send that out.
Right.
Yeah, and I would argue that that traditionally is how the state does things, and that traditionally is part of the failure of why state programs have such a poor track record of success in public education.
Any further discussion on whether this should be tabled? Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
just have one question. If we don't submit, do we have any possibility of not having access to any grant money that possibly could be available to some of this
We
technology?
would not be eligible for any state grants, correct?
After June 30th.
After June
Right, yeah, but
30th.
you can submit it to Ed Connection just with the date on it that it was submitted to us.
Yes.
But it wasn't approved.
Correct.
We don't have to
But
approve it until
we
June
can
30th.
change it.
Okay.
Say if you
Right.
read it and review it, and then at the next meeting, we can then let Ed Connection or wherever it's sitting at that point, that it was approved.
Mhm.
The one thing we have to be careful about, or I'm just recommending we be careful, is it sends up red flags to the state, and then they'll be reviewing us for everything. And we had a federal audit last year for ELL, we've got a,
Compliance focus
desk audit for SPED, I mean.
But Cheryl, at what point do we get to pull a red flag on the state?
Send them to me if they have problems.
No, I mean, the things that we're being mandated to do,
Just put on a ski jacket.
I mean, at times are absurd.
I don't disagree
Right,
with you.
well, we're gonna vote whether we're gonna move it or not.
Can I make a motion?
Well, we have a motion on the table. We have
But
to,
I think they're two different. What is the motion?
the motion that's on the table is to move approval of this to the next meeting,
It was second, correct?
It's a regular meeting, I assume.
Regular,
Yeah.
yeah, correct.
of
With
approving this
grant
plan.
being submitted or not submitted?
The motion on the table is to move the vote, to move the approval of this plan to the next meeting.
Submit it.
You can then make your motion right after that if you want, because I know what your motion's gonna be. Thank you. All right, all those in favor of moving this to the next meeting? Aye. Opposed? It moves, 7-3, the next meeting.
Did you have another motion you wanted to make?
I would like to make a motion that we discuss this in further depth at the next meeting, but we allow the administration to approve the plan by the deadline of March 30th with.
It doesn't have to be, there's no deadline to approve it by March 30th. It has to be approved by June. They can submit it right now. She can take it, because there's a line that says, this was given to the board on February, whatever the date was. And she can submit it.
I'll second that motion.
I don't even think she needs our permission to do that, right?
Have you done, I mean, has it been done already?
It's a fact.
No.
No.
All right, would you like to make your motion to have them,
I want the plan submitted with the understanding it is not approved, and we will make further discussion.
I'll be
on
sure
the
to
plan
check
at a
off
later
that
date.
line on there.
do you have a second to that?
I will second that, yes.
Any further discussion on the motion to allow the administration to submit this plan to Ed Connection with the note that it was submitted to the board, but it is not approved at this point?
A long motion.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it all in.
It's been a long night
Is
tonight.
that the right motion?
What-
Leon?
That is
What
the
does-
right motion.
What does that account?
It keeps us eligible for grants.
Keeps us
So
sleep.
they don't care that you got a district submits it, but they can't figure out if they want to approve it.
It would still be in a draft.
I mean, I'm.
Regardless, when it
Let
goes to.
Sue explain one thing. It's, explain why it's going to Ed Connection and then where it goes from there.
Education Connection's position is this plan is more for the district's own reflective process than it is to meet any state requirements. So the process that has been put into place is that a district committee develops the plan, submits it to the regional education service center for them to review it for completeness, and then to make any recommendations, should there be any, and our reviewer at Ed Connection has said they're looking for, that you've addressed each of the goals. That will be the level of feedback that we're gonna get, you did it or you didn't get it. We then have until June 30th to further consider the goals and strategies that were identified in the plan, and we are expected to file a copy of a board-approved plan with the Connecticut DOE Department of Information Technology in order to be eligible for grants by June 30th, 2012.
So they're strictly a consultant through the state system to evaluate whether you filled out your form correctly. And then they give it back to you, and then you say, I like it, and you send it to the state. So what Fiona's motion is to say, the page 6 has 2 lines. One says, already approved by the board, and the other says, submitted to the board. She can fill out either one of those 2 lines and send it to Ed Connection.
And when they receive it as just submitted, then what's their review of it?
They're gonna review
It's
it.
still gonna be reviewed.
They'll review it whether or not.
We've created an action plan for each of the goal areas, and you've supplied the requested information about district capacity and your LEA profile. Basically, that's all they're gonna check.
All right, Ellen?
I have a question. Does the whole plan have to be submitted when you say that it's submitted to the board for approval? Can you just submit that one page?
No,
No, because they have to review
No,
it.
they have to review it.
How can they review if it wasn't approved by the board?
because
It's
it's.
just an application. They don't approve anything at Ed Connection. All they do is look at it for its completeness, and then they send it back to you. So if you approve it right now and you send it to Ed Connection, and Ed Connection changes 11 out of the 50 pages, you have to redo the whole thing.
This should review the process anyway.
It should go to them for
Yeah.
approval of completeness, or review of completeness.
Right.
Then it should be voted by your board, so you're not doing it 3 or 4 times.
Right, I agree.
So,
All right.
any further discussion on a motion to,
This is what Ed Connection fills out, the last page,
Yes.
it's a checklist.
I'm moving the question, just so we can move on.
okay. All those in favor of allowing administration to submit this? Unanimous. Okay. School climate.
Before or after the season?
The state of Connecticut is looking for a report to be submitted.
Who does that have to get reviewed by?
As your superintendent appointed, yours truly, the Safe School Climate Coordinator for the district, you've seen this report, or this plan 3 times now. The state does have it. They are awaiting approval by June 30th, once again. It's a bare bones plan because we will have committees that will meet and upgrade the plan as we move through. It's all based on Public Act 11232, the bully law that was passed by the state of Connecticut last summer. In the document, you see the requirements of the school district as far as committees, as far as positions that people need to hold to make sure that the law is followed and proper investigations are done, so on and so forth. So it's in front of you once again to decide if and when you're ready to approve it, and I can report to the state that it's done.
How do we approve and submit?
Motion by Mr. Kisco, a second?
Second.
Second by, who did come from? Chris? Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question about this so-called safe school climate specialist.
Yep.
Who are these people?
All right. Your Safe School Climate Coordinator is myself. In each building, you have a Safe School Climate Specialist who is either the principal, the assistant principal, or a designated person to sit and be the coordinator of the committee in that particular school.
And so this isn't going to cost us any additional funds by having to hire so-called specialists?
No.
We have these people
No, it's
in the
not a,
buildings already.
it's not a position, it's an assignment that somebody would volunteer for.
Okay.
You're off.
I haven't worked all night.
No. Normally, yes.
They do.
But not so quiet.
The recording is being done over there.
Bad experience.
We were about to.
However, I
Any-
still feel better doing this.
Any further discussion on the item? Yes, Ellen?
I just have a couple of like little housekeeping, but I'll give it to you.
Okay, great, thank you, appreciate it.
The grammarist has reviewed it.
I know.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? It is unanimous.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Okay, out-of-district transportation bid.
Okay, our 3-year contract will expire June 30th. Okay. That's okay. We put the out-of-district transportation bid out to bid a couple months back, and we were pleasantly surprised with the results. We were able to decrease our expected 12-13 line item for this by $300,000, which is already included in the budget that you see. As you can see in your packet, the majority of the bids went to a company called CT Transportation Solutions. At first, we were a little skeptical because they were so much lower. Myself and Dr. Robin, the special ed director, brought them in for an interview. We interviewed them. We were very happy with them. I called all their references, They were absolutely glowing from other school districts, so we feel very confident with this company, and we're pretty much transferring all our business to them for this. The reason why they were so much lower was because they are using small vans and or cars for some routes that are just 1 or 2 kids. And the big companies use bigger buses. So, but they're the only ones out there, so we found them, and it's a good.
Smart solution.
So that's what we're doing. And I also gave you the actual outline of the bid, so you can see the 3-year cost of how everyone came in.
Do we need a motion to,
Yeah, we're not in discussion yet.
no, we need a motion, and then we can go into discussion.
I mean, we reviewed this at budget, so I recommend approval, but we had a contingency at budget, that's all. So, I mean,
And they did get rectified.
okay, I just,
Right, the motion was to approve, seconded by Dan, discussion, David.
yeah, I can't remember which
Yep.
items.
The web
It was
school,
web and foundations,
web
right?
school, we had to put it out for the 3 bids, and some of them wouldn't even bid, because they didn't want to touch it because that was Coventry.
Right.
But CT Solutions did, and they came in lower than Access, that was what we were asking that night. They did come in $5 lower, but it's lower. Foundations,
That was on which one?
Web.
that was on web, and then foundations.
You have All-Star.
Well, there's two.
There's two runs. All-Star came in lowest for one of the runs, and then the other run was all the way out in Coventry. The run to Coventry wasn't a bidded run, because the student came in after we put the bid out. The
Okay.
other school that was in question was Foundations.
Yeah.
We talked to them, and they're gonna do what they can,
Okay.
but we're going with CT Solutions, and the Ann and Tellini School also, they're picking up.
And you vetted them, I mean, they've been in business a long time. They've got
Yes, they
record,
have.
the accident record is good.
Yeah, we found out Torrington actually used them about 5-6 years ago, but they were skeptical way back when, and only used them for a couple runs, and didn't really research it further, but they had no problems, but the references were absolutely glowing from other districts. They were keeping me on the phone to tell me stories. Literally.
So we're gonna have 3 different providers for,
We currently have 5.
okay.
Well, this is a very successful RFP, as far as I think the committee was concerned. And we fully support moving forward as recommended.
And when you did this process, just to consolidate all of them, the largest provider didn't say that it, give them all the business?
They did, that's what you see in blue.
Okay,
They actually did, All-Star said, if you give us everything, this is our cost. And on the last page, I actually did All-Star's alternative bid compared to all of the lowest bids, and they were still higher.
All-Star.
Right.
So we're gonna go with All-Star on the entire.
No,
Didn't you just say if they took the whole package, they would still be the lowest?
No, they would be-
He said they were the highest.
they were the highest.
If you look on your page, it's 1908, using all the low bids. And if you used All-Stars collective, I get all the runs, they're at $2,197,000.
That's a $300,000 difference.
They couldn't
Okay.
toe the mark, yeah.
Sounds great.
Any further discussion?
And this is already factored into the budget projections that Cheryl has recommended to the board. So it's not like we're coming into $300,000 of savings, unfortunately, that would have been wonderful. So,
Can we just, not before we approve it, but could we just get something where it's just clear who got?
It's in your packet?
It's in your packet.
One sheet.
It's
In
one
your board
sheet.
packet.
That's the revised one.
Yeah, this
Yes.
is the new one after the budget.
Seeing no more discussion, all those in favor? Unanimous. Financial statements.
Okay, the financial spreadsheet you see in front of you, we have a surplus of a little over 100,000. We're coming in very good this year. Our salaries are still trending at the same they were the prior month. Our overtime has increased to 38,000, but that is a solid projection of the deficit come June 30th. And again, that's due to the clerical overtime that we need for the New World program and the para overtime to stay after school with the students this year, the special ed students. Our workers' comp, we received a refund from our audit last year, which was a nice surprise, so we're gonna come in with a $19,000 surplus in that account. Our life insurance is also a $23,000 surplus. We received our new rates in December for this school year and next school year. And they actually came in lower than last school year, so something actually did go down in insurance. So that was a real nice surprise too. Our claims have been really good up until this year, but they only audit through last year. And everything else is trending as you've seen in prior months.
Yeah.
Didn't legal,
We gotta get a motion, and then we'll go into discussion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second by Tim, okay, Andrew, discussion.
I thought the last time, at least one or two meetings before, we were projecting on legal at 150, and isn't that lowered down to 150?
Yep, I was projecting it at about a $30,000 deficit last month. We received the big bill that I was waiting for in December. And now that we're through February, I feel a lot more confident with that number, that we will only be about 15,000.
Yeah, I thought that number changed.
It did.
Did you also, when you look at your overall budget performance printout, did you somehow change this?
This is the new World system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is the new program we have. It's been implemented.
This is the program that also ties to the increase in overtime
Correct.
for the training that's been going on throughout the district on the new financial system. So this will be the look of it moving forward?
Correct.
What I thought on the old one was that on the year-to-date transaction, I thought that the way it used to print out, you would have the prior year-to-date transactions so as to be able to compare where you stood on February 1st on that item last year
Yep,
and then
we did.
this year. And I thought that was always a nice comparison to see.
Okay, let me look to see, because we're still mucking our way through the system to accommodate the reports and do stuff,
Right.
so let me research and see if we can do that. But yeah, the old report did do that.
Yeah, I thought that was always helpful to see where we were year to year.
Any further discussion on the financial statements? All right, all those in favor of receiving the financial statements? Unanimous? Okay. Agenda item number 7, executive session.
Move that we go into executive session.
Seconded by Alan, moved by Chris. All those in favor? Are we inviting anyone in? No, right?
You want to abstain?
Everybody.